And yo, the Sports Back Bros podcast is on and coming at you on a Monday. Not just any Monday. It's Monday Night Football Monday as the NFL started last Thursday. The rest of the games picked up on, Sunday? And now we're on Monday. The Jets playing the 49ers at the old San Francisco. Well, in San Francisco, we'll get to see Aaron Rodgers for the second time, hopefully more than 2 plays this past weekend. Also had a whole bunch of college football, a lot of college football, some upsets, some games of interest that weren't so interesting. But hey, as long as Notre Dame loses, it's a good weekend. What's going on?
What's happening? You know, I'm hyped. Huskers handled Colorado.
Oh, you know it.
28-10. The game wasn't even really that close. That defense was so dominant, man. I'm excited because I haven't seen defense like that and played in Lincoln in quite some time. But you mentioned Notre Dame. Funniest thing I've seen all day is an image of Rudy with the NIU jacket talking about he's transferring and hitting the transfer portal.
Bro, Rudy's heading into the transfer portal. He's tired of this nonsense. He wants to go. He wants to be in a conference.
Yeah, I mean, after I wouldn't say they handled Texas A&M. You know, it was a competitive game. They won, but you never would expect them to lose to the Salukis.
But the deal here is that you would think that, well, are they the Salukis or the Huskies?
Are they? Or maybe I'm thinking different.
Illinois.
Yeah, my bad. You know who I'm talking about.
But anyways, man, I mean, that's why I don't like the way these teams are ranked coming into the season. And I mentioned when I did that review of college football on Saturday night, I'm more interested in seeing if I would be more interested to see if they wanted to rank the top 5 teams or even the top 10 teams going into the season, even though it would be a preseason ranking, because those are likely the teams based on who's coming back that you could probably guarantee or get a better idea of who may or may not lose based on that easy schedule they usually have in the beginning, except for some of those opening games that end up being classic games, that kind of thing, like Georgia and Clemson, those kind of games, but you can still kind of pick the win if you wanted to. But I'd rather have 5 or 10 teams going into the season with that ranking. As soon as you get to 15 and 25, anything can happen. Notre Dame did not deserve being number 5, and we saw what happened. Now, we don't really know how good Northern Illinois is going to be, but I don't think they're going to be creeping in. They are in the top 25 now because of that win, but I don't think they're going to become a threat even to get into the now expanded 12-game college football playoff.
Hey, but you got to give them credit. They went into South Bend.
Oh, yeah.
And they took care of business. I mean, you wouldn't think that that's their business to take care of, but they came out of there with the dub. So they took care of business. Gotta give them credit. It's not easy winning on the road. I've been to Notre Dame. Yeah. I know what that environment is like. That's a huge home field advantage. And for them to just stroll in there, come out with the dub, gotta tip your hat to them.
Oh, absolutely. Not taking anything away from them. They went in there. They were able to get what they had gotten, and they came out of there. They outgained Notre Dame at Notre Dame. I'm looking at it more from a standpoint of Notre Dame. Are they getting these rankings because of who they are still, even though they haven't done anything? And in Notre Dame's case, doing something is winning a national championship, something they haven't done since 1988. Are you doing it because you're still hoping and wishing upon a star that happens again? Or are they really that good? I didn't think they were really that good. They're missing their quarterback. And regardless of what you do in the transfer portal, bringing someone in, they still have to adjust to what you're doing in live action. I liked it better last year because at least Sam Hartman had so much experience at Wake Forest and was at least defined as the starter, had accolades over there to where you knew that he was a pretty much a great college quarterback for that time and for Wake Forest, that you knew what you had going in. Now, I don't think that's the case for Notre Dame, but regardless, the Huskies came in, beat on them, outrushed them, outgained them, and that was that. They upset them. And Notre Dame, we talked about it before. Now, if they lose because they're not in the conference, they weren't getting a bye anyway because they're not in the conference. But now what happens? With one loss, they get pushed back. They're in double digits now in terms of their ranking. Do they get back in because of the rest of their schedule? And if they do, is that team even good enough to even do that as time goes on?
Well, for their sake, they need NIU to win a bunch of games, because if NIU ends
With the
up
schedule,
four
yeah.
and six or 4-7, however many games they play, that's not a good look for Notre Dame. So they
No.
need the NIU to win a lot of games, and of course they still need to take care of their own business, and beat the teams on their schedule, or they have absolutely no shot. But even if they win all of their games and NIU loses 7 games, I don't know. When it comes to strength of schedule and your good and bad, good wins and your bad losses, that would end up being a terrible loss.
Yeah, but I think also this early in the season, it really helps. So they can win. If they're going to win, they know what they're up against very early instead of having to wait until the middle of the season and stumbling then, or even at the end of the season. They have a lot of traditional names on it. USC is still on that list as well. So the way USC has been playing right now, I think a win over USC anytime later in the season, if USC keeps up what it's doing right now, is probably going to nullify the Northern Illinois loss. I mean, it possibly can, because they look pretty much like a juggernaut now. We saw them last week the week before against LSU and how they won that game. And now they get another blowout this past week, a nondescript team, but they look like they're kind of are in that position and now in the Big Ten. And now with their schedule, they may be formidable enough that if Notre Dame did beat them, it would nullify this early loss.
Possibly,
Possibly.
but I don't think they're going undefeated in the Big Ten.
Oh no. You know what? No, I don't think they're going to undefeated in
So,
the Big Ten.
I mean, if Notre Dame is their only loss, well, then I can see what you're saying. But I don't think they're going undefeated.
Nah, not this year with Ohio State looking like it is.
They won't be undefeated going into that Notre Dame game, is what I'm saying.
This is just turning out to be, even in the second week, I guess third week, because you did have 0 week, but it's turning out to be a pretty interesting season so far already, because now we look at the number 3 team in the country, Oregon, not looking good in back-to-back weeks, but they're still going to be number 3 when it's all said and done right now, at least this week. They don't look like a number 3 team. In fact, they don't even look like a top 10 team, struggling against the teams they've struggled against. I mean, their latest struggle came against a Boise State team. Even though Boise State was pretty good years ago, they're not expected to be very great right now, with the exception of their seemingly superstar running back, Ashton Jeanty. I was looking for something from him coming off of last week's 267 yard day rushing, 6 touchdowns. He comes out and gets 192 yards, averaging over 6 yards a carry. I think it's time to say this guy is legitimate, going to Austin Stadium doing it. Oregon, though, struggling against them. That's a problem.
Yeah, we talked about how tradition says teams make their biggest improvements from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be the case for Oregon. You mentioned they don't look like a top 5 team, and they definitely do not look like the number 3 team. We'll see if they can improve from week 2 to week 3. But so far, the returns are not good for the Ducks.
Nah, not looking good at all for the Ducks. But right now, I think because some teams, I think, other than losing, teams are probably getting a pass. So if you even if you struggle this early, they're not going to really touch you in the rankings unless you just have a real tight game and embarrass yourself, and they just have to move you because the team behind you probably had a good game. In fact, I kind of look at that with Texas now leapfrogging Ohio State because of what they did to Michigan. Even though I don't think Michigan should have been the number 10 team in the country going into that game, only because, well, they lost everybody, including the head coach. What were you expecting? There's not enough transfer portaling or enough regular recruits just growing through the system in the pipeline to replenish what was lost last season, when you had one of the most dominant lines in a long time playing for Michigan, offensive line-wise, with all of those seniors and even the transfers and grad transfers that came in. You're talking about those guys were captains on their team. When you look at Drake Nugent coming in from Stanford, a graduate coming in as a Stanford captain, and then Ladarius Henderson coming from Arizona State in the same capacity in terms of being a captain of his offensive line. And then they had their own leaders on their offensive line. So that's why there wasn't much of a drop-off when Jim Harbaugh was getting suspended and you expected the team to fold. You had leaders out there. They're not there now. And we're seeing what's going on with Texas. They were outmatched, outcoached, and just beaten up.
Right. It looked like a men among boys when I was watching the highlights of that game, and one of the first thoughts I had was Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh knew what he was doing when he left. Like
Oh yeah.
he left at the right time. He knew what he was doing.
I mean, in addition to what he was doing allegedly off the field with all of the shenanigans under
Well,
the
yeah,
table,
but
aside from
I'm
that,
just saying
the cupboard was
if this year's team was as strong as last year's team,
he'll be back.
he probably would have been back trying to double up and go for the repeat. But he knew the cupboard was bare.
He did a little bit of that Pete Carroll deal, leaving USC, but that was different then. He was looking at those sanctions that were coming before he got out of there and went to Seattle. But yeah, Michigan just got manhandled. But then now we can move over to what you saw, your boys, Nebraska, looking like Nebraska of old to a degree defensively. The black shirts trying to make a reappearance this time around. And,
Yes, sir.
And against Colorado. And I tell you right now, the heat is on. Last year, we knew all about the celebrity Coach Prime. All eyes were on him. We talked about his son possibly being a number one pick overall in the draft. I don't know who was saying it. I wasn't saying it. But the consensus from people who were just following the program and just following the hype said that was a possibility. And then they come in here over a 4-8 season. What were you really expecting? Coach Prime now has to coach. It's not about the smoke and mirrors anymore. They still can't run the damn ball, getting 16 yards rushing. And before that, it was 0 for so long. And then they just got run out of the business. It could have been worse.
Yeah, in the first half, it was negative. They sacked him 4 times. I believe it was minus 22 yards rushing, which I think is – I don't agree with how that stat is kept. You know, quarterback sacks shouldn't count against your rushing statistics.
But in college, it does.
But
it does. Right. Your passing yards.
But they weren't trying to run anyway. I mean, when they did, they get half a yard. That defense was so dominant. The first possession of the game, 3 and out, incomplete passes, 2 incomplete passes, then a sack, and I was like, well, that's a good start. And then they did it again on the second possession, and again on the third possession. I was like, oh, this, it's not just they're fired up. It's the talent, it's the game plan,
all of it coming together.
All of it together, right? And for them to shut them out in the first half, I think they didn't get their first down until like 3 minutes left in the first half, I think it was. I mean, it was just a crazy dominant performance.
And Matt Rule, he's doing it with a lot of recruits the old-fashioned way. He's not bringing in a whole bunch of portal guys like you would expect even at a program like that could have attracted.
He brought in Dardell from Oregon, though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know what? He'll cherry pick those guys. He's not wholesaling, bringing in 50 or 30 or 20 portal people in order to boost up the program. I think he would even go the JC route just as much as he would go the portal route right now if you just want an older player that's more mature and may be able to play right away and just let those recruits marinate until they're ready to go. And if they're top recruits, it doesn't take too much marinating for them to get up to speed and become a quality player for the team.
Yeah, but I mentioned Dardell. One thing that Husker Nation's been big on was his first touchdown run. Travis Hunter had a chance to meet him at the goal line and made a business decision and backed off.
I want to go to the NFL in one piece. That's what he said. But now, looking at what you had seen, because you have more of an eye for it, because you're a Nebraska fan, you're looking forward to this game. Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback, what do you think of him? And then now with the true freshman going into his second game, Dylan Raiola, the Godson, the Nebraska coming to play. How did he play? If you had to give him a rating from, I guess, F to A, where would you put him?
I'd give him a solid B. His numbers weren't outstanding, but he did make some good throws. He had a couple of big plays, got a big first down with his legs. But the biggest thing is he did not turn the ball over. No interceptions, no fumbles. And after leading the nation in turnovers last year, for having the freshman quarterback and him not having a single turnover, that's big. That's big time. We thought we had a good quarterback in Jeff Sims last year, and he couldn't catch snaps. So, to me, you ask me what I'm looking for, not giving the ball away, and that's what he did. He got one touchdown pass, kind of lucky. The defender was there, bounced around, he got the luck of the bounce and went to Johnson's hands and he ran it in. But he also had another nice play where he rolled to his right and threw back to his left. It was like a 45-yard pass. Guy caught it at the like 2-yard line. So he's making plays. He's showing flashes. You can't expect him to be 25 or 29 for 300 yards in
Nah.
the second game. But again, he's showing flashes and he's doing the best thing you could ask, not giving the ball away.
And he is playing against other Division 1A competition. It's not like even if Colorado isn't getting the best players, or if they are, they're still individually talented players if they're playing for Colorado, because those are the players that Coach Prime brought in, either as recruits or through the portal. They have talent. It's just a matter of the chemistry you have and the continuity with that team. That's what you have to have, and they hadn't gotten it right now, as you can see. And they may not get it all season long, because I think just as much pressure going on that team for the way they're playing. Coach Prime is also getting pressure from the outside, I'm sure, about the results he's getting from the teams that he has put together now for the second year. The celebrities aren't on the sidelines anymore waiting for his next move. The only celebrity on the
Speaking
team.
of celebrities, did you see who led them out of the tunnel?
No, I didn't.
Terrence Bud Crawford, pound for pound champion of the world.
You know what?
He had a red and white belt, man. It was badass.
Yo, see, I didn't know anything about that. They should have highlighted that on television. I don't think I even saw it as a highlight or anything on television. I guess in boxing room they might have done it. But Bud Crawford, he's the other franchise in Nebraska over the past several years while Nebraska's been down. Now, and he's always run with Alabama. He's always run with Nebraska. Mm-hmm. I mean, he wears the Nebraska gear and the whole deal. So now you get to have him come out with the team. I mean, I'm sure that was a hell of a buzz, but they smacking around Colorado is an even bigger buzz.
And I don't know how it hit most Husker Nation, but me being a big-time boxing fan, it got me hyped. I was hyped.
I bet, man. You should have brought Eminem with him, man. Come out here and sing it. Like he did with his fight with Errol Spence. It would have been on.
You asked me about Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can really evaluate him, especially off this game. They were in the backfield. He was pressured. How can you ever get comfortable into a rhythm when someone's at your feet, in your face? I said, they sacked him 4 times in the first half, but he was pressured a lot more than just 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, and last year, the offensive line broke down, and it looks like they're starting earlier this year than they did last year. So can we really give them a true evaluation?
I don't know. For me, I'm going all the way back to his days at an HBCU at Jackson State. I'm going all the way back of not being able to solve.
But I'm sure he's better now than he was then.
Exactly. He should be. That's the point. He should be better now, but he hasn't shown that he's better now when it came to quality teams. He could put
probably had a better line back. He probably had a better line in those days than he does now.
If you saw any HBCU line, a better line means that it seeps less than other lines. The people seep through a little less than other lines. So his problem with North Carolina Central, his problem with South Carolina State.
For that level, they protected him probably much better than the Buffaloes are and did last year.
Man, but you know what? You're a Division 1A player. All excuses out the door. He's not the only one who had to go through that. He's not the only one going through it. There's been players like even Diego Pavia, who I've talked about with New Mexico State, who's now with Vanderbilt, doing kind of the same thing. When the last time Vandy had a freaking line? He's still making things happen against Virginia Tech. But anyways, yeah, I don't know if it's anything I might just have personally against him. I don't think it is. I just know what I saw when he was at Jackson State, and I'm seeing what I saw last year. The numbers look good, but you got to look beyond the numbers and see where it is. Is he really reading defenses? Is he dropping dimes? More often than not when the opportunities are there. You can look at a stats sheet at the end of a game and say 400 plus yards, man, and just turn the sheet of paper and be like, okay, next. But when you look at it and get some concept of how it was attained, that's probably just as important. A dunk pass that a running back probably took 50 yards, or a bubble screen that a receiver took 70 yards. You never know. It wasn't looking from left to right, back to left, and then figuring it out and popping the guy and making a play. I don't think have seen enough of that from him since he's been playing. But anyway, Shedeur Sanders, first rounder right now.
I will say this. I think he may have gone into that game underestimating Nebraska's defense, because pick six, that was a terrible throw. Like, the guy was sitting on it. I don't know if he saw him. But as soon as he started to throw it, he'll jump that route. He had no chance, and that's one you don't throw. Obviously, they were saying he threw it late. Well, if you're looking over there, you should still see the defender within a couple yards waiting to jump it.
Yeah,
So that was a terrible pass.
yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, because these are still passes that he's making this deep into his career. Someone's sitting on a play and you're still throwing it, whether it's at home or on the road. You have that experience, and it's not even a matter of experience overall. I'm talking if you're elite, if you're that elite player that you believe you are, the elite player your father says you are, and other people who support you think you are. I don't think a lot of scouts are saying it right now because I don't think they want to say the wrong thing and have Dion on their ass about it. But you can't throw passes like that. And when he makes mistakes, he makes huge mistakes. I mean, when he throws bad passes, he throws very bad passes. Elite quarterbacks will have their bad passes, but they'll be far and few between. I think he's been doing that a lot more than that. I think it's going to happen even more this season as they play these better teams, and now they have the target on their back, not even just from last year, but this year, fresh and new, because now they're in the beginning claiming he was the number one pick overall, which I don't believe he is. Hell, he better be glad to get the first round in this draft coming up in 2025.
I'll tell you what I didn't like him walking off the field while the game's still going.
Another problem. See, when everything is good and dandy, you out there showing your watch. And we saw that little Dylan Raiola showing his watch. Hey, bro, that's what you got to look at. That's what happens when you're that kind of person and you're looking for that kind of attention. You're going to get ridiculed. And whether win, lose, or draw, someone's going to do it. And most likely it's when you lose and then you get off the scene like that. So, I mean, it's so lose 100%.
And then after, at the press conference, I didn't listen to it all, but he said they were ready to play. So you're saying you weren't ready to play? Like, you're not going to give them credit? Like, they came ready to play. We weren't. If that's your excuse of why you got your ass beat, you're weak as fuck.
Exactly. Your coaches are supposed to get you ready to play as the leader of that team. If not one of the leaders of that team, as the quarterback, you're supposed to have your teammates ready as well. You knew what you were doing throughout practice to know whether or not you were going on the road to be ready for a Nebraska team that gave you problems last season. It's almost like Alabama not being ready for South Florida after South Florida gave them those problems last year in Tampa. Now went up to Tuscaloosa, did a lot of the same early. Eventually, Alabama pulls away. But that's what they're looking at. So now all the excuses, and now you're going to see what kind of a player and character guy he really is. And in fact, I think people have already drawn the conclusion on his character.
Yeah, I'm not going to assassinate his character. I'm just saying I didn't like that. That wasn't a good look for him.
But that's part of his character, though. Not assassinating his character.
He's
assassinating himself with his character.
To me, what was more glaring was Travis Hunter showing his frustration and yelling at people and going off and sitting off to the side by himself, like he's blaming everybody for them being down 28-0. Like, this is your guys' fault. He's not part of the team. They're not kicking my ass. They're kicking your ass. That's
I want another team, bro. I'm out here on one island. I got like Travis Hunter Island over here. The rest of you guys, those 10 guys, play by yourself.
I mean, he was yelling at somebody while Shedeur was getting sacked. I don't know if he wanted the ball to be thrown to him, but Shedur's on the ground. I mean, you can't throw the ball. Oh, well, Will Levis tried it yesterday. You see how that worked out. But
more sportsmanship, I see. Yeah. Like Papa, hey, that goes without saying.
That Will Levis, did you see the play in the Bears game?
I heard about the Will Levis play, but I haven't seen it yet.
He was getting sacked. He was on his way down, and he's trying. It should have been intentional grounding, but he threw it in the direction of the wide receiver. And Tyreek Stevenson, your Tyreek Stevenson, your boy from the U, he was right there. Took it, he caught it, just ran down the sideline to the house. And you can see Will Levis on the replay on his knees with his hands like, oh my gosh, what the fuck did I just do?
Well, you just lost
that's how the Bears won. But anyway, and they commented, sometimes you just got to hold on to that ball. Don't get rid of it. So I don't know what Travis Hunter was yelling and screaming about.
That's why I don't pretty much listen to these fluff pieces they have on these kids as they come up and when they become stars or mistake-wise or even legitimate stars. And you have these little fluff pieces of he's always an even-keeled guy. He's just a competitor. You say all of these great things that put them in a very positive light. And then you see this kind of thing, the emotional part getting over him, overtaking him and him just getting emotional with everyone else and not being the person they've described for the past couple of years now, because even last year, all he does is play video games and fish. That's it, plays football. Bro, he gets pissed off every now and then too. And I also understand being in football is an emotional game. A lot of emotions come out of that game and it make you act a little different at times. But, bro, I mean, you lost a lot last year. We hadn't seen that kind of behavior. Now you're losing in Nebraska on the road. You're getting beaten up. Now it comes out. There's more where that came from when you look at the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, I hope he's able to control his emotions better in the future, because for for as bad of a look it was for Shador leaving the field early, it was worse to me anyway for Travis Hunter yelling and screaming, showing so much frustration. I just didn't see any reason for it. It's not like he's standing in the end zone by himself and Shador decided to throw it to somebody else. Shador was getting sacked and he was covered.
But I'll tell you what, man, Travis is going to be a first rounder anyway. I think he goes in the top 10. If he doesn't get injured this year, it's something that stops him from being a top player in the NFL draft, he'll be a top 10 because he does so many things. And he's just that kind of an athlete, by the way, too. Now,
yeah,
I don't
he's
know
a supreme talent, both sides of the
extreme
ball.
talent. Cornerback, kickoff return, punt return, wide receiver. I think his best shot is at corner because, and I think if you look at the pay scale, I believe it's quarterback. It may be quarterback, wide receiver, and corner, or maybe defensive end must be up in there too. But either way, I mean, you pick your position based on that. What's going to get you the most money when that contract comes? You know what I mean? Because you get somebody who's a jack of all trades, and then the contract comes up. Of course, they're going to lowball you, taking with the position that pays the least. You've been a very good punt returner. Hey, let's pay you the best punt returners. When you were a quarterback just as well and a wide receiver. But I think he'll play cornerback coming out, and they can do a little Deion Sanders like they did with his father back in I'm not his father, but with Deion Sanders, and throw him out there receiver like in his Dallas days. But anyways, moving along from them, because there'll be more to talk about with Colorado in the near future because of the way they've played. We can go back to a little bit of Alabama action. Alabama struggling a little bit against South Florida, but ultimately pulling away. But this game was way too close for comfort for too long, and Jalen Monroe looks like he turned back the clock in the wrong way. The way that the part that got him benched last year for Ty Simpson and Tyler Buckner against South Florida.
Jalen Monroe might be our college version of Trevor Lawrence this year. You know how we expected him to be improved and have a breakout game, and it never really came.
Nope.
For hopefully, I mean, I'm not a Crimson Tide fan, but hopefully for them and for Jalen, his season doesn't go the way Trevor Lawrence's did last year.
Oh my God. Or even the way it started this year. Come on now, Trevor Lawrence. And we'll get to you in a minute. But Jalen Monroe, I'm telling you what, I think there are some Alabama Tide fans that are waiting or chopping at the bit for Ty Simpson to get in and get the job full time. In terms of upside and what they would like to do and what Coach DeBoer is great at in terms of developing quarterbacks and having that offensive mind that he has, it reminds me of Mike Price. I spoke to one of my Bama friends about that, and I mentioned this is probably going to be what Mike Price would have brought to the table if he hadn't gotten fired before the season started at Alabama. But way back, I think back when Brody Croyle was their quarterback, I think he would have had an excellent time with Brody Croyle with that offensive mind. DeBoer had that offensive mind. He doesn't get the respect overall only because he was in NIA before NAIA before he came to the NCAA and went to Washington, but in short order had them in the national championship game as runner-ups. But I think Alabama is certainly going to get it together, but I think South Florida needs more credit doing what they're doing. I think man for man, in terms of overall talent, not that they match up with Alabama, but I think they match up with Alabama better than people might think man for man. It's just as a team and program, they don't hang with them just yet. That's where the problems came from. And then the depth of Alabama and then the overall talent of Alabama is what helped them pull away. And then, of course, the mistakes of South Florida. But I tell you another thing, just moving forward, that may be a trap game for the Miami Hurricanes when they go up there to Tampa to play them. It's an in-state battle. We already know about the Florida boys situation, whether it's Gainesville, whether it's Florida State, or even Central Florida for that matter. South Florida has upset teams in the past, including Notre Dame and Notre Dame. But this is a Florida thing. Miami goes up there. Miami's having a great time now. They're up at number 10 for the first time in forever, I think 2020. And they haven't finished the season in the top 20 since 2003. So this is uncharted territory for a while for Miami. I hope they don't have too much air in their head going to South Florida when they go to Tampa to play them in a couple of weeks after the Ball State game this week coming up. But anyway, that's a game that had to be talked about. But
keep an eye on your boy Cam Ward, because he's very confident, and I heard his name being tossed around for Heisman talk.
Oh yeah, he's up there, and based on what he's done, he probably deserves the talk. I'm still so frustrated by the way he throws that ball with the sidearm and the quarter sidearm and all that. It reminds me of Dennis Eckersley throwing a freaking pitch. Come on, man, with the sidearm, the way he throws it. But hopefully it keeps up. But the depth of Miami now is better than it's been in a long time. Before, if we had the starting guys that were pretty good, which Miami still, even in their bad years, had some individually talented guys. If those guys don't get hurt, when those guys got hurt in the past, that was catastrophic. Now, when those guys go down, like Ruben Bain, you have someone else who could come in and just fill the spot until Ruben Bain gets back, which should be around the South Florida time, which would be excellent. But yeah, so Miami beating on FAMU, no big deal. They were supposed to do that. You just wanted to limit the injuries. And HBCU defending Black College National champions just played in Celebration Bowl this past year, but they're playing without their head coach. Willie Simmons moved on to Duke. So now James Colsey is there, the third, who played at Florida State, defensive back, Mickey Andrews, way back, if you remember. But anyway, that's the spiel on that. Tennessee, North Carolina State, another game that I thought, why is North Carolina State even ranked going into this game? But they were. Tennessee just runs them out of the business. But Nico doesn't play as well as I thought he would play as a Heisman Trophy candidate, but they still get the win. And he still shined at times. But at 6'6", he looks pretty nimble out there.
Yeah, I didn't see any part of that game.
Yeah, I watched that game. Like I said, I was bouncing around all freaking day watching these damn games. Yeah, but Tennessee showed that they're legitimate. And, I see people in some of these groups talking about how the SEC isn't as good as everybody said. It's a different landscape now. There are so many teams that seem displaced. And now, see, a Big Ten team or a Pac-12 team is beating your team. Well, that Pac-12 team is now the Big Ten. So that's not the case anymore. So the Big Ten is strong, adding their 4, but I think the SEC is even stronger, just adding 2, Texas and Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is another one of those teams struggling early that probably may get upset along the way.
I hope so. I didn't see what they did neither, but being a Nebraska fan, there's no love lost for those Sooners.
Oh, of course, Oklahoma just beat Houston 16-12 in Norman, which I don't know. Is Houston really that good? And if so, I don't know why. I don't know how, because UNLV went to Houston last week and beat them, but UNLV also dropped 70 this past week, even though it was against one of those poor sister schools. But UNLV typically isn't like this, dropping 70 on anyone, even if it was their local high school. I don't think they could do it against Bishop Gorman 5 years ago, who's in Nevada, in Las Vegas. But UNLV looks like they have something going on. And the past 2 or 3 years, they've seen it as if they've been putting it together. They're undefeated right now, just 2 games. But beating Houston and Houston having that close call on the road in Norman against Oklahoma probably speaks some volumes, man. Maybe UNLV might be better, or even Houston might be better than we thought, or maybe Oklahoma not going anywhere in the SEC if they keep this nonsense.
Well, once they get into conference play, if they're frauds, the jig will be up.
You better believe that. But I tell you, one game I wanted to just touch on right away was DJ Lagway, the quarterback for the University of Florida, true freshman quarterback from Texas, taking over for Graham Mertz. And that's probably the way the season is going to end for Graham Mertz. He was in concussion protocol from the Miami game. I don't know how they determined it. I guess like if they would determine anyone else. He left the game, didn't come out. DJ got his shot early, did what true freshmen do, kind of go through it. But then he drops over 400 yards against Sanford, even though a 1AA FCS team, a true freshman dropping over 400 yards passing. That's serious. I mean, he has all the measurables, about 6'4", 6'5", big dude runs. He did everything. Missed the football in Texas, so that matters. Well, I mean, I'm more interested in seeing what he does next now, and I'm thinking that Graham Mertz might have made a big mistake leaving Wisconsin, where Tyler Van Dyke from Miami is now up there, kind of helping to ruin their season instead of Miami's season. So hey, that's just the way it goes right now. But yeah, man, I think we did enough college football, man, for enough to head into the NFL. Stumbling into the NFL. Finally, week 1 is over. It started off with Kansas City, the defending champs
We
at
still have
home.
Monday night, so it's not quite over.
Oh, yeah, we still have Monday night, man. That's what I'm hoping to get to as the Jets are out there in San Francisco looking to take on the 49ers with a full staff, with the exception of the defense. I mean, Chase Young, we talked about it the last time. Chase Young is not there now. He's gone, but he came in the midseason, didn't really do what we thought. But, whatever. I thought that front four would be formidable as hell, but it wasn't. Eric Armstead did some things here in Jacksonville yesterday, so we know where he's at now. So now all you have is Javon Hargrave on that defensive line and and Joey Bosa.
Yeah. We did our NFL predictions last week, and I mentioned I don't know it. I don't know why it's a trend, but the losing team of the Super Bowls the following season usually have a horse shit season.
Yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey's already have a calf issue.
Yep.
I don't know if he's even playing tonight.
Questionable.
There you go. So they're not starting the season off right. What was I gonna say? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking something happened where I thought maybe I'm the jinx because last year I picked the Bengals and Joe Burrow got injured.
Joe Burrow, bro.
Yeah,
that man started off whack.
So I don't know what happened to them yesterday, but I didn't pick the Bengals this year. I picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl this year. They got off to a rough start, but then Josh Allen got going, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a jinx after all. But somebody else got hurt, I thought. Oh, Jordan Love.
Because
I picked the Packers. I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. So he's probably gonna miss 3 to 4 games.
3 to 4 weeks,
yeah, if not more.
And that started well. The first game, Kansas City, started on Thursday. Then they went down to Brazil, where you had the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Green Bay Packers, and Jordan Love not looking good before he had gotten injured. I mean, completing 50% of his passes. This is not what you were expecting after seeing what happened last season, the way he ascended last year. You thought there would be more of a continuation because it wasn't just an ascension that started in the regular season and died in the playoffs. It started in the regular season, still shined in the playoffs. They just happened to lose to the better team. And now he comes into his 4th season, 2nd season starting, and doesn't look spectacular. Doesn't look good. Average at best. I mean, you might even say a little less than average. If you want to just say average at best, yes. I mean, everything else was under average. Then gets injured. They don't run the ball well. He didn't get the ball to his receivers like you thought he would. Things didn't look anything like last season. The progress you would expect, even though you think the first game is when you try to still get the kinks out of the armor. Being on the road in another country, that does matter because now I'm hearing about how they were upset about the field conditions in Brazil. So there's always
both teams had to play on it, though.
Exactly. Both teams played on it, unless both teams are complaining. I don't know about that. The words just come out, and I guess the losing team
didn't seem to affect Saquon Barkley too much.
Saquon. You know what? Saquon wasn't running well in the beginning, but like Saquon can do, he can bust the big one and make the numbers look better, and the numbers were better overall at the end of the game. So he looked good overall. I mean, 3 touchdowns. Come on, what more can you ask? Right. I mean, if you're a fantasy football guy, he's your guy right now. Got the yards and the touchdowns. So, and he catches out of the backfield. But that Green Bay game, I mean, well, they lost and not looking good right now, but they're on 16 games to go.
That was a toss-up game to me anyway. I thought either team could win. Eagles played better, but the Packers still had a chance last possession of the game, and the Eagles were able to sack Love. And, I mean, I don't think he was going to throw a Hail Mary touchdown pass, even if he didn't get hurt. So, tip your hat to the Eagles. The Eagles played that much better.
And Jalen Hurts not looking as great either. Still throwing picks and not looking solid, looking like, man, the improvement isn't there. He's pretty much doing the same thing.
But just look at the whole first week as a whole, it's it was a crazy week, starting with Likely's toe on the line. The
Oh,
Patriots beat the Bengals. The Bears
so
don't score
Jared
an off.
Mayo's first head coaching gig in the NFL.
The Bears don't score an offensive touchdown, but still somehow score 24 points
They
and
look,
beat the
they're like
Titans.
the Steelers from last year, who now have your boy Justin Fields. Come on. I think I saw your little
Oh,
blip. Yo, man, you wish you'd have kept Justin Fields.
that was a joke. That was a
I
joke.
know
You
that.
know,
I know
sometimes you gotta try that reverse psychology.
that.
And it was like 2 minutes after I put that up, they blocked the punt. I was like, there we go. There we go. They got back into it.
But I tell you what, though,
That Bears defense, man, they shut down the Titans in the second half. No points allowed. Block punt, pick six. Santos or Cairo Santos came through with 3 field goals. They got the dub.
so now as far as the Bears go, offensive line was addressed. We know the receivers are out there and was addressed. You know, bringing in a new wide receiver, the running back was addressed. How did that all look coming together? Because I didn't get a chance to see that game.
So apparently the offensive line got some guys banged up. They didn't provide a lot of time for Caleb. They didn't open holes for DeAndre Swift, nor any other running back. Swift had 10 carries for 30 yards, and he got 20 of those yards on one of his last carries of the game when they were trying to run the clock out to kill it. So let's say he doesn't get that carry, he ends up with like 9 for 10, 9 for 11. So
Wow.
that's an indication of what the offensive line wasn't doing. They were not opening holes. I don't even know how many yards rushing they had total, but it was probably less than 50 if I had to guess.
Man, because I looked at the numbers just in the stat sheet. And I know when I see bad stats, but there has to be a storyline behind it. Was it completely
Oh,
the
and Roma
offensive line?
Dunze, he's going for an MRI today.
Oh, really? So what's wrong with
Yeah,
him? A knee sprain?
something with his knee. I haven't heard yet.
And we see a couple of knees now, man. These things getting banged up. You know, even defensive players going down the road with that. The one game we just kind of sort of skipped over was the Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens game. And Lamar Jackson, man, I just heard comparisons yesterday of him and Russell Westbrook. I just heard some Russell Westbrook comparisons of doing
Russell
great things in the regular
Westbrook.
season and doing nothing in the playoffs.
Who?
Huh?
Who? What quarterback are you talking about?
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Lamar Jackson. Okay. I could. Well, I don't know. Yeah, Russ got average triple doubles but was never really a great shooter. Didn't get it done in the playoffs, so I can kind of see that comparison.
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson had more opportunities. I think you were the one who said, you know what, that one at the end of the game, pretty much not it. The previous plays, he's missed wide open receivers or missed receivers.
Yeah,
I could have gotten the same result that would not have made this matter at the end the way that it ended up
right.
happening.
If he made better passes on the 2 plays prior to that one, those receivers should have caught the ball, and we would have actually seen a 2-point try.
So now we
I
say,
wanted his feet to be in just for that. Whether they converted or not, I didn't care. I just wanted to see the 2-point walk-off play because there's no time on the clock.
yeah, no time on
I
the
was
clock.
like,
And they went for the two, guys. I saw already
man,
say
I
the
was like,
two.
yo,
He
that's
wasn't playing. He
balls right
wanted that
there.
win.
I know John Harbaugh, if he's at his own 40 and closer to the other end zone, if it's 4th and 2 or 3, man, there's a chance he's going for it. So it makes sense he was going to go for 2. I wanted to see it.
And now, yeah, but how does this make Lamar Jackson look? The eyes were already on him because 2 MVPs. Some people think he didn't deserve it last year. Some people still want to look at him as just a quarterback who happens to a quarterback that runs and doesn't throw as well. I still think he's an effective passer, but man, you need to start seeing a few more of those 200 plus yard games passing instead of all of this running. And he did a lot more running. You saw he was a bit quicker too because of the lost weight. But man, it's still same result, 0.
I don't know what the deal is with him and the Ravens. Like it takes them like 2.5 quarters to get going. It seems when they play the Chiefs. Like at the end of games, seems like they're the ones with momentum, but they're trying to catch up because they've fallen behind.
Yeah.
And they just weren't able to get it done. You know, he threw the interception in the playoff game last year to end it, and this one was that close. But that's how it goes. But that game was crazy. If you're watching all of the penalties on the offensive linemen not lining up properly.
Yeah, that was a lot of that yesterday. I think, first game blues, still trying to get that chemistry
No,
going,
but
I guess.
for the Chiefs game, I know they called it at least two plays in a row. It might have been like 3 out of 4. It was like 2nd and 20, and they were all illegal formations on the linemen.
And then, someone finally ran a kickoff return back in that piece of crap new kickoff format. DJ Dallas ran a kickoff back for a touchdown. So I guess that's the new trivia question when people ask who was the first
Who
one to
was the
run a
first?
kickoff back under this funky loose new scheme that we have called kickoff returns. And from the U, of course. So that's always a nice thing if the U could put up something like that for history. But yeah, all those games played yesterday, played on Thursday, played on Friday, and what else you have out there? The Pittsburgh Steelers, like I was saying, Justin Fields got the nod because Russell Wilson is injured at the moment.
Yeah, but let's not pretend like he played well. They
No,
kicked
he
6
didn't. You know
field
what?
goals.
It was field goal, and it was a road game, and it's hard to win in the NFL. And it was Atlanta, so Atlanta isn't looked at as anything special. And it was Kirk Cousins, whose best known thing in the NFL is catching checks. That's about it. Because what he's doing in the at quarterback just isn't cutting it and making any teams better. He's just going from one city to the other, just catching checks, getting paid, and just saying I'm an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, again, I mean, Pittsburgh does what they normally do. They find ways to win. Even though that hasn't been the case in come playoff time during the regular season, you can count on them for having the winning record. So that, and I know Atlanta's getting a lot of love for being a surprise team. I don't see it. So
I
that
don't
did
know where
not
people are
surprise
getting
me.
that from.
Yeah, I don't see it, and that did not surprise me. And then I
Nah,
heard it was 6 field goals. I was like, oh, I thought Justin might have played well. He didn't
nah.
play all that great. And
He almost got them there, but the kicker just kind of finished it off. He's the closer. It's like the mortgage business. He's the closer, man. Close the house. But yeah, another game. Oh man, because could there be a team worse than the Carolina Panthers right now? Unbelievable how bad they are. I mean, they are seriously bad. I've seen bad teams in the NFL. I think that 0-16 Detroit Lions team probably squeaks it out against them. Come on.
I hope they don't have the Miami Dolphins on the schedule. They might try to hang 70 again.
If Tyreek Hill makes it to the game,
Yeah,
if he
well,
gets there,
I
yeah,
thought we
that's
would
another
save
game.
that for. I thought we would save that for the end, but
Yeah, but yeah, man. But the Panthers, what new? What's new with them? I mean, Derek Carr puts up. Well, the team puts up 47
well,
points.
I think they're gonna come to the conclusion that the the Bryce Young trade, giving up the number ones back to back, that's gonna hamstring them for years to come. Not
It
having
may just.
not having a first round pick last year, and the Bears turned it into Roma Dunze. Um, that's crazy.
See another one of these. The third
Oh
grade
no,
video
they turned
says
it into Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze. What's he saying?
he said
Oh, the
he got
Giants.
to see
Who
the
wants to talk
Giants.
about those sorry Giants?
Man, look here. I already knew it. When Daniel Jones is your quarterback, your chances of winning just go down like quickly, quicksand. And I, I'm not even a Giants fan. I just follow the Giants because they're a New York team. I'm a freaking Jets fan. We're gonna get ours tonight, one way or the other. So, but the Giants, Daniel Jones is just one of the worst quarterbacks, and he's getting paid to be one of the worst quarterbacks, and they're getting that result, 28-6. Minnesota. Now look, Sam Darnold, I think you talked about it last week. Sam Darnold isn't all that bad. He's not all that good, but he's probably what they needed right now in that stopgap time.
Who did they beat?
The Giants.
Oh, it was the Giants. Yeah, that's because I was thinking, well, let's not get too excited. Even though I was the one to say, well, let's not throw the dirt on them just yet. It was the Giants. So
Yeah.
the book is still open. We'll see.
On the road.
But
It's
but
hard to get a win on the road.
I did expect the Vikings to be better than most people were saying because why do they have so high hopes for JJ McCarthy? He never showed anything in an NFL game before.
Exactly.
So how could we expect him to be a 10 to 12 game winning team?
Well, to that, and I'm saying the reason why I think they were looked at that way is because with those other three teams in the NFC North, with the improvements that Chicago had made on paper, then we already knew Green Bay going in was going to battle Detroit, but they were going to get the leapfrog over Detroit because of what they had done in the trajectory we've seen with Jordan Love and Detroit, just based on last year, and you're thinking they have a good coach in Campbell, that they can at least stay in their spot. So you had the Green Bay, you had Detroit, you had Chicago, and then you're looking at Minnesota bringing up the rear. That's why. And that still may be the best division in football when it's said and done. But now with Jordan Love out, maybe not. But I think that Minnesota, hey, I wasn't. That's the reason why I had him last, because they didn't have a quarterback. But Sam Darnold, seeing him bounce around the NFL as he's done, he hasn't done much of anything. But at least for one game only, he seems so far so good, enough to patchwork a team until I can't say until McCarthy gets back, because you don't need McCarthy anyway. But until they can see exactly what happens with this team, maybe other teams can float around them and they're able to surprise. I think he may put up a better year now based on yesterday than what Kirk Cousins had done when he was dead healthy.
That could be the case. I mean, he does have some weapons to throw to, so
yeah,
he's experienced. Maybe it might finally click for him.
Man, how about well, I think yesterday, what was it, San Diego played
Raiders? Yeah.
San Diego. Los Angeles.
Or Los Angeles.
Chargers versus the Raiders.
Chargers and Raiders, yeah.
Yeah. Justin Herbert, we're still looking for him to still continue on being an excellent NFL quarterback. Not exactly putting up big numbers, but I think the one thing that caught my attention, because I was looking forward to it, was my Rookie of the Year candidate, Ladd McConkey, found his way into the end zone. Not huge numbers, but found his way into the end zone. I think he had like 35 yards and like about 8 yards per reception. Nice start, but hey, getting into the end zones is just a start. You have 16 more games. On the other hand, if you look at the guy I compared him to from last year, was Puka Nacua, who's now gotten a knee injury and is week to week with his injury for the Rams. And he got injured yesterday, so let's hope that gets better. But so far, so good for the young rookie and Ladd McConkey, and they get.
I was watching that game. My friend's a big time Raiders fan, so we were watching it. And the Raiders defense looks legit. They just have too many limitations on offense. Gordon Minshew, he's decent, but when they needed him to make plays, he just couldn't get it done. Their kicker didn't help missing field goals either. But that touchdown by McConkey, that sealed it for them. He was basically quiet, and then fourth quarter, I think he had like 3 catches, and then he had the touchdown catch.
Yeah, I'm looking for him to do some things this season. I mean, I think he has the same reasons I gave for picking him as the Rookie of the Year. If they're going to have one and they're going to pick a receiver, he may be the guy, even though Xavier Worthy does have the quarterback and everything to help him get there. And we saw what he did on Thursday. Xavier Worthy, man, he's a pain in the ass, man, whether he's running that ball or something, or you just burning somebody wide out like he does. And, he looks like he's going to be a serious problem. So right now, not in the clubhouse, man, we have 16 games to go. But it looks like, hey, he hasn't missed a beat. And they're taking damn good taking his speed and making sure that they're using it every which way they can. But how about
one touchdown in the air, one on the ground? He's definitely out in the lead in front of everybody else.
No problem. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I was. Well, I thought about what I thought about. That's why I had Ladd, because I figured that most people would jump on Xavier because he has everything working to his advantage, and that speed you just can't teach. And if they want to have another Tariq Hill out there, well, this is as close as it gets without the experience. And so far, so good with him. But the game that was a good game of young gunslingers, at least on paper, it looked like, and even some of the highlights might have shown it, was the Indianapolis Colts and C.J. Stroud and the Texans. C.J. Stroud picking up where he left off, man, just cruising. And then they look at Richardson up there in Indianapolis, coming out of Florida, missed the major part of last season because of injury. They show his nice highlights, but then he completes only 9 passes out of over 20. Bro, come on, this is what we have.
Right. Well, he's still basically a rookie because he got injured so early last year. Yeah. I would still consider him a rookie. And if you go across the league looking at rookie debuts, none of them really played well. Bo Nix, he had some moments. He rushed for some yardage, but he had the 3 interceptions.
Yeah, man.
So it looked like he might have had some things figured out, but then again, he couldn't have it figured out because he had 3 interceptions.
Man, it gives you a headache just, from the preseason till now. You think you're kind of getting on a nice roll, and then you see what they throw at you in the first game, and you realize you're now in the NFL. Things are moving faster. The best of the best are out there doing what they're doing, and they're trying to just stop you and your teammates. But it all starts with you as the quarterback. But, man, I'm CJ Stroud, man, he's just – I'm not going to say generational, but he's getting close to being that generational type because he came in. He still had a little bit of a slow start back on his game. Still not just digging and dumping. He's finding receivers and making it happen. And he's still running.
Yeah, I probably should have picked him instead of Tua, even though Tua did throw for 330-some yards yesterday.
And the way he ultimately threw for it, man, with that big-ass catch that Tyreek got, the 80-yarder, because Tua, they were talking badly about him on the broadcast, and rightfully so. And I was like, man, when you gonna get it together? But I was hoping that Trevor Lawrence got it together because of being here in Jacksonville and also the big contract. Man, I think we got what we got. But then when you look at Jacksonville as a whole and the problems they had, I knew they were going to blow this game. Trevor Lawrence, again, under 200 yards, a lot of what we complained about for a while last season, under 200 yards, just that one touchdown. The passes that he threw weren't exactly great passes or special passes. They were just passes. But then you had Christian Kirk dropping passes that he was reliable for last year before he was injured. Travis Etienne busting it up the middle, fumbled the football into the end zone, got the touchback. That would have been the game winner right there. His fumble directly led to that chance.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Broke it up the middle, nice run, hard run, and they get him at the goal line that goes into the end zone, so you get a touchback. So everything went wrong for them in that regard. So you have everyone making problems. Because I remember Trevor Etienne's first season, his rookie season, he was injured with the Achilles, so he was out. So his rookie season was the year afterwards. He's in his third season now, and you see that this is his fourth season. He goes in his rookie season, he fumbles a lot, but he gets to like 5 yards and change per average carry. And then last season, his average per carry goes down, but he doesn't fumble at all. But then now he's back to doing this, fumbling away the game. Tank Bigsby was running hard, doing well. It kind of made you wonder, why the hell you putting Trevor back in? Trevor's back in. This is the guy who could actually keep it going. I mean, they could not stop Tank, and they just took him out. The hot hand, they took him out because they want to appease the guy they already had, who's the incumbent.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I just saw Etienne had like 40 yards rushing.
Yeah.
40 or 50 maybe. I was going to ask you, are they putting him in positions to be effective?
Man, they started off looking good. They were leading. Trevor Lawrence.
He's dynamic, and I don't see him making splash plays.
And I mean, Trevor Lawrence isn't even making splash plays. I mean, oh my God, I just don't know what to think with Trevor Lawrence, because last year when I saw him missing receivers wide open, and that was before the injury was announced, because I don't know if there was really an injury there before it was announced, or is he just if that is him, is that's who he is. Now we're going into this season after the big money, and he's saying all he's doing is focusing on football. And man, he might need to focus on something else, and maybe football will get better, because yesterday it did not look good. The defensive line, though, good luck to anyone trying to run on this Jaguars team. Seriously, that's they're going to be elite. I mean, they got depth there too, so even with injuries, they should still be elite stopping the run. It's that secondary that got roasted, but when you have Waddle out there and Tyreek Hill, and then A-Chain coming out of the backfield, you're going to have your problems, and they're going to cause other teams problems, like they did with Denver last year. They caused them problems dropping 70. But the Jaguars, as far as the run goes, and as far as getting to the quarterback, they're doing it. And, Trayvon Walker getting to the quarterback yesterday, Josh Allen getting to the quarterback yesterday, getting his new contract in the offseason. It's just that Trevor Lawrence, man, once again, I'm thinking it's a matter of time before you may have some dissension in that locker room, kind of like with the Jets last year, even though it wasn't necessarily announced, when the defense is holding the fort and the offense is just that damn bad. And you're like, yo, bro, you got to help us out, man. We're too tired out there all the time. You get those little side-eye looks in the locker room after a while. I wonder if that's going to happen in Jacksonville at some point.
I can see it happening because, like most of last year, we were waiting for his breakout game, and it never really came. And then
Nope.
they plummeted down the stretch of the season, and the Texans actually won the division. So
And rightfully so.
they're not. I mean, yeah, and they looked like they were handling this game. They end up losing it. You say Etienne blew it at the end.
Yep.
It looks like same old Jaguars from the end of last season. So
And that sucks. And now that Cleveland is coming here. And by the way, Cleveland's horrible against Dallas yesterday. And guess what?
man, people
Deshaun
are talking
Watson is
all
done.
kind of junk about Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson is done. He's
That's what they're
whacked.
saying.
He's
Yeah.
done. Garbage, trash. He's not good anymore. Whatever the hell happened, whether the happy ending is a sad ending, bro, it's over for him, man. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback or whatever, a very good quarterback. I think it's over. There was too many times when he did have time, still overthrowing guys. This can't still be, well, he was out this long and that's why he's doing it. Man, he was doing that before last year with the chances that he had. So I'm thinking that it's just over for him. He's going to be an average quarterback, and if nothing else, lower than average. Another Cleveland Browns blowing all that money, giving it to him sight unseen pretty much, and guaranteeing the entire contract. Man, I wonder if they can find a way to get out of it. Maybe they can do some Mel Tuckering or something. Catch him on something to get him out of here. We're going to get you out of here for some immoral nonsense. But yeah, man, that was a mess with that. I was pretty shocked by how badly he played. I mean, and I know Dallas brings the wood and the fire, but there's no way he should have. There's no way he should have looked that bad. Because I think the reason why he looked that bad because he is that bad.
You could be right. I mean, what has he shown to make people think otherwise? He didn't play that well, all that great last year,
Nope.
and now he starts off with this dud.
That's exactly what it is.
I don't know if they have the Panthers on the schedule, but we'll see if he can improve on his play. But next week, we should have a good matchup. The Bears go to Houston, so we'll see what C.J. Stroud can do against that defense, or what that defense can do against Stroud, because CJ's a bad dude.
Yeah, man, he's proving it.
I don't expect him to get a pick six and a block punt and win. So Caleb Williams is going to have to step up his game next week.
But one thing that kind of stood out to me yesterday also, another thing that stood out yesterday also, Marvin Harrison Jr., what the hell is he? One catch for 4 yards? I was looking at the injury report. What the hell happened to him? I know I did talk about how often he got injured in college and over the smallest things. They talk all of this nice, they said a whole bunch of nice things about him in the offseason, how he's a generational talent and how they liked how he looked. He didn't do anything in the preseason. Now in the regular season, he's getting 4 yards on one catch. What's going on? And Kyler Murray was pretty hot yesterday for a while.
Maybe he didn't feel as comfortable. Maybe he didn't feel comfortable throwing him as comfortable as he did with his other receivers, obviously.
With the talent that they claim he has and what they said they seen in practice, you thought that they wanted to show off this new toy right away. Let's get it to him. Let's get this thing popping. And they were winning for a while. And I thought he would have something to do with it. And no, one catch for 4 yards. A bubble screen? You fell down or something? What? I don't know, man. I'm expecting a lot more from him, man. It looks like a lot of these little rookie wide receivers is coming out and trying to do some things. He's not one of them, man. He's supposed to be the most talented of them.
Yeah, slow start. A lot of rookies had a slow start to their careers yesterday.
I think we got spoiled by these other rookies who came out and started doing well last year, the year before. You see a rookie that comes out and just makes headlines. C.J. Stroud in particular doing what he did last year, done last year. And the reason why I think a lot of these quarterbacks got pushed so early in the first round because they wanted to duplicate that C.J. Stroudism from last year. You know, guys who shouldn't have gone in the first round or early in the first round. Bo Nix in particular, who I thought would be a late first rounder, second rounder, and J.J. McCarthy, very much in particular, who I thought would be a third rounder. But it only takes one team out of 32 to fall in love with you to believe that you're the franchise. Bring him in early, and that's what happened. So how about close it out with, well, what happened to Tyreek Hill yesterday? Something happened on the way to the stadium. It sounded like a bad joke, but it was reality, man. What's going on?
So I don't know exactly what happened with Tyreek. I don't know how fast he was going or what vehicle violation he committed while he was driving. Maybe it wasn't speeding. I don't know. But My issue is when his teammates showed up trying to de-escalate, they put him in handcuffs. The fuck is that's bullshit. You're at the stadium and you're doing that to a wide receiver. Then his teammate shows up. Oh, come here. We're gonna put you in handcuffs too. The fuck? This ain't fucking
It's the
Nazi
crew that's
Germany.
part of his posse.
This is
That's what
not
they thought.
Nazi Germany, man. Those fucking
He's,
cops need to be reprimanded.
yep.
Whoever was the ringleader needs to be kicked off the fucking
Well, he's
force.
on administrative leave right now, which happens because, of course, the policemen's union. So I know that he's not just going to get fired because of something like that. There's going to be a lot of going on. He may not get fired at all. Most likely, I don't think he will, even with the bad press. And, you're hearing people saying how aggressive these Miami police officers are. Man, bro, I guessing the circumstances, but people down there know who Tyreek Hill is. His face is on some things down there to where you see it enough to know that if once he's face to face with you, especially a police officer, when he's face to face with you, you should know who he is. Not that he should get any preferential treatment, but you probably wouldn't want to just manhandle him if you didn't have to, and putting this all eyes on you now under this bad light. Police got a bad enough light as it is anyway, deservedly
Right.
so or not deservedly so, and it doesn't help at all. But at the same time, with Tyreek Hill's history, they didn't know who they were getting until they finally got him. But with his history, it just seems like the dark cloud follows him no matter what, even if it's something innocuous like this.
Yeah, the thing is, they put hands on him, and that's not the cops' job. And too many times, a lot of cops, and it's not all cops, but like most people are saying, bad apples. They're on top of him with the knee on his back. They did put hands on him, and it wasn't necessary. And again, then someone else shows up, and they're telling him stay back, and he's like, "Okay, tell me where to stand," and I'll stand right there. And he's trying to de-escalate, and they end up putting him in handcuffs too. Like, what if Tyreek had a passenger? The passenger's just going along for the ride. He's not doing anything. If they're gonna put him in handcuffs too, I was
the way things have turned out.
I was in the car when my friend got pulled over, and they asked me for my ID. I was like, I didn't do nothing. What you want my ID for? What's your name? And my first name is Jesus. So I said, Jesus. He's like, Jesus. He's like, how do you? I said, yeah, Jesus. Oh, you mean Jesus?
You mean a smart ass.
Well, I didn't do anything. So I was like, how do you pronounce Jesus? He's like, man, forget you. I was like, no, forget you. I'm just sitting here. Talk to him. He's the one driving. I mean, these cops, man, they're full of shit. They think they have power that they don't actually have.
Well, they know what some of them can be. We've seen news stories about it happening like that. I think there's many more good cops than bad cops, but the bad ones are the ones that get highlighted. This one here got highlighted, I think, under the right circumstances this time. So he's going to get all the hell that he probably deserves under this circumstance. Now, the next time Tyreek Hill gets in trouble, which is just a matter of time or a matter of when, not how or who, see what happens then. But yeah, man, that was just a bad overall circumstance because my first inclination when I saw it, I was like, oh, damn, Tyreek Hill up to the bullshit again. But then you hear the story, like, wait a minute. He's in the right this time.
Right. My son told me Tyreek Hill got handcuffed and something. I was like, what happened now?
That's exactly how I looked at it. What happened now?
They said he was speeding or something. I was like, oh, well, at least he didn't beat up a girl.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was my first thought, but those cops were wrong, man. I mean, he's going to his freaking job. He's almost at his freaking job. And you got him
you're going to be watching.
And you got him on the floor with your knee on his back. Come on, man.
It's a bad look, period. There's no way around that. This is a bad look. And it makes it even worse because it's magnified in who Tyreek Hill is. And I know there are going to be people out there talking about his past, but that had nothing to do with what's going on right now. With that particular circumstance, his past had nothing to do with it. I don't think the cop felt any threat from Tyreek Hill. He just did what he did. And even knowing who he was, maybe that ego got in the way, and that's just how it ended up.
Yeah, but even the ones like who didn't participate, maybe there's a few that like, well, I didn't put my hands on them. Yeah, but you didn't do jack shit to stop it neither.
That's another issue. But man, well, this is it's gonna I think it will eventually go to litigation because I know that someone's going to get sued. You know what I mean? Even if it's just something to do or it's legitimate, but I think it could be legitimate based on what the optics of it. And people will be more than happy to indict these police officer or the police officer because that's what we're dealing with now these days. So, hey, we can end it on that note. And we talked a little bit of college football, talked about the NFL, talked about the do's and don'ts of the season so far, some injuries that have come along, teams that are looking good, teams that are not looking so good. Deshaun Watson not looking very good at all. And Tyreek Hill, even after that stressful start, still had a big damn day with an 80-yard touchdown included.
Oh, his celebration. Did you see his celebration?
No, I did see his celebration.
Oh,
I just missed the freak. I saw it on the
oh,
replay.
you gotta see his celebration. Yo, it was he trolled the cops. He went, put his hands behind his back, and then Waddle came and acted like he was handcuffing him. They trolled a big FU to the Miami PD.
Oh, you know what? See, I gotta see that now on the video. See, that's crazy because I didn't even know that. I turned away, came back, like, wait a minute, what happened? Then they're talking about an 80-yard touchdown. I'm like, are you serious? But yeah, it was him because I know Waddle did break a run, but he got caught from behind. And I was saying that if Cheetah had got it, it was over. He was gotten in the end zone. Then he goes to do it anyway, gets the ball and does what he does. So, hey, but that's a pretty nice celebration, man. Really sticking it to the cops. Maybe they can put that as Exhibit A when they get to the courthouse over there. But until Thursday, he's Bias on Trav and the Sports Back Bros podcast is coming to an end on a Monday.
In top 25.
Top 25 for the first time in a while, and I think they'll stay there for a bit too with that defense. And as Raiola continues to mature as a quarterback and the team continues to get that cohesion they need to move on to beat the Nebraska of old, the black shirts seem like they're trying to get back to their old dirty ways. Let's see how that goes down. But on Thursday, we'll know the results of tonight's game, Monday Night Football. The Jets are playing the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see what Aaron Rodgers does. Being a University of California, Berkeley grad around that San Francisco area. Let's see how that goes down. Don't get injured in 4 plays instead of 2 this time. So, he buys on Trav, Sports Back Bulls, signing off. Until next time.
Deuce.